All right, so welcome to this deep dive. And today, we're doing things a little differently. We're going on a material hunt, a real archaeological adventure, if you will.
Sounds intriguing.
It is. We're going to be taking a look at Angkor Thom, but not just gazing at the majesty from afar.
Oh.
We're going right down to the nitty-gritty, the very stuff that built this legendary city.
Ah, I see. So we're talking about the building blocks, the literal materials used in Angkor Thom's construction.
You got it. And let me tell you, getting to the bottom of this was a journey in itself.
I can imagine.
Encyclopedias, travel guides,
Right.
scholarly articles, even modern tourists chiming in with their experiences.
Wow, sounds like we've got a rich tapestry of sources.
We do. And that's what makes this so exciting. You never know what little nugget you'll find where. So picture this. You're standing there at Angkor Thom, running your hand along those massive walls.
It's an image that's captivated people for centuries.
Exactly. And I bet the question pops into your head, what is this made of? How did they even build this thing? Well, get ready for some surprises, because we're about to answer those very questions.
I'm all ears.
Now, you can't talk about Angkor Thom without understanding a bit of its context. This wasn't just plopped down on an empty plain.
Right, it's got a history.
Yeah.
That land has seen its fair share of civilizations.
Oh, absolutely. Angkor Thom is actually built right on top of an older city, Yasovarman.
Ah, yes, Yasovarman, a testament to the Khmer civilization's deep roots in this region.
Exactly. And that right there tells us something fascinating about the builders of Angkor Thom. They weren't strangers to this place. They were building upon a legacy.
Layers upon layers of history.
That's the perfect way to put it. And it makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Were they resourceful, reusing materials from the old city? Or were they fortunate enough to have quarries just a stone's throw away? What do you think?
Well, it's clear they were incredibly resourceful, and speaking of readily available resources, there's one material that pops up again and again in our sources: laterite.
Laterite. It's almost like that one ingredient that shows up in every recipe. It's got to be important.
And it is. Laterite is essentially this reddish soil found in abundance in Cambodia, and the Khmer builders, they were definitely fans.
Well, when you've got it, flaunt it, right?
Guess so. But seriously, they use laterite for everything. Those imposing city walls, 8 meters high, stretching for kilometers, all laterite.
Wow, just picturing the sheer amount of laterite they must have needed.
It's mind-boggling, isn't it? But the walls are just the beginning. They used it for buttressing, too, supporting those massive structures, and even for some of the foundations. They really maximized what the land provided.
Talk about making the most of your resources. It's making my weekend DIY project seem a little pathetic.
I know what you mean.
But one thing that's been bugging me, one of the sources kept mentioning the Bayon style. Now, how does that tie into the materials they used? Did the style dictate what they could build with?
You've hit on a key point here. The Bayon style is all about grandeur scale, colossal structures, and laterite plays a huge role in achieving that.
So style and material were interconnected.
Deeply. Think of those iconic face towers. We'll talk more about those later. But they're a hallmark of the Bayon style. And guess what? Laterite features prominently there too. So yes, the style definitely influenced their material choices, and vice versa.
It's all starting to come together.
Yeah.
Now, we've established laterite for the strength, the scale, but what about all those intricate carvings you see all over Angkor Thom? Laterite seems a bit rough for that kind of detail.
You're right. Laterite is more about brute strength than delicate artistry. And that's where another key material comes in: sandstone.
Ah, sandstone. Now
Yeah.
we're talking.
Exactly. Sandstone is much easier to work with. Perfect for those elaborate carvings. Think of the famous churning of the sea of milk scene on the causeways.
Oh, hold on. Back up a sec. For those of us who haven't brushed up on our Hindu mythology lately, what exactly is the churning of the sea of milk?
It's a captivating myth about the creation of the universe, and it's depicted in incredible detail on those sandstone causeways, gods and demons churning this cosmic ocean to extract treasures, including the elixir of immortality.
Wow, talk about a story etched in stone.
Right, and it's all thanks to the workability of sandstone. And it's not just that scene. The Bayon Temple itself is covered in intricate sandstone carvings, including those enigmatic faces.
Okay, now you're talking my language. Those faces are a mystery in themselves. Are they the king? A bodhisattva? Some divine combo? Does the choice of sandstone give us any clues?
You've stumbled upon a debate that has puzzled scholars for centuries. The faces could represent any of those figures. And the fact that they're carved in sandstone, a material associated with permanence and divinity, only adds to the intrigue.
It's like the ancient Khmer is playing a cosmic game of riddles with us.
Perhaps they are, but one thing's for sure. The choice of sandstone wasn't arbitrary. It was deliberate, reflecting their complex beliefs and worldview.
Okay, so we've got tough, durable laterite for the heavy lifting. And then we've got this beautiful, intricate sandstone for the finer details. And for telling these grand mythic stories, it makes you wonder if they were deliberately imbuing these materials with symbolic meaning.
Absolutely. The Khmer builders weren't just practical. They were incredibly symbolic thinkers. Their material choices were deliberate, reflecting complex beliefs and a deep connection to the cosmos.
It's starting to feel like Angkor Thom wasn't just built. It was sculpted, like a giant, intricate work of art. But I'm curious, from your perspective as someone who's spent years studying this stuff, what stands out to you most about these materials? What's the biggest takeaway?
For me, it's the realization that while we marvel at the grandeur of the stone structures that remain, we've lost so much of what made Angkor Thom a living, breathing city.
What do you mean?
The wooden buildings, the textiles, the everyday objects crafted from organic materials, they've vanished, leaving only tantalizing hints.
You're so right. It's like trying to understand a symphony by listening to just the brass section. We're missing a whole layer of Angkor Thom's story.
Exactly. And that missing layer is crucial. It's not just about the aesthetics. Those perishable materials played a vital role in the construction process itself.
Okay, now you've got me really curious. What kind of role are we talking about? I'm picturing massive wooden scaffolding, things like that.
That's exactly right. Imagine the colossal wooden structures needed to erect those towering temples and those kilometers-long walls. Wood would have been absolutely indispensable. And it wasn't just for scaffolding either. One source even mentioned wooden lintels and door frames. So wood wasn't just a behind-the-scenes player.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It was woven into the very fabric of Angkor Thom's architecture.
I always assumed wood was mostly for temporary structures, like during the building process.
Yeah.
Oh.
It makes sense. But in this case, wood played a significant architectural role.
Like what?
Well, for one, it provided structural support, especially in those grand doorways and openings. Imagine the weight they had to bear.
Yeah, those doorways are massive.
Exactly. But it wasn't just about function either. Those wooden elements would have been intricately decorated, adding another layer of artistry to the city.
So we're talking about a whole other dimension of beauty that's lost to time.
Sadly, yes. We tend to focus on the grandeur of the stone. But wood played a crucial role in shaping the city's aesthetic, too.
It's like finding out your favorite black and white movie was originally filmed in vibrant color. It completely changes how you see it.
It really does. And it reminds us that what we see today is just a fragment of what Angkor Thom once was. We have to use our imagination to fill in those gaps, to envision those wooden structures that have long since vanished.
And speaking of imagination, let's talk about the people who actually built this incredible city. One source mentioned Angkor Thom had a population somewhere between 80,000 and 150,000 people.
That's a staggering number.
Right. That's a lot of hands shaping those materials.
It's mind-boggling when you think about the sheer manpower and ingenuity it took to build on this scale. Thousands of skilled laborers, artisans, architects, all coordinating their efforts.
All those people working together, using techniques passed down through generations. It's awe-inspiring.
It really is, and it challenges our modern perspective on construction, doesn't it? They weren't just stacking blocks, they were weaving together stone, wood, and human skill to create a universe infused with symbolism and artistry.
I like that, weaving together. Because it wasn't just a one-time thing either.
Right.
Angkor Thom wasn't static. It was a living city, constantly evolving and changing over centuries.
Precisely. Those builders weren't just constructing. They were adapting, modifying, adding their own touches to what came before them.
It makes you realize that those grand stone structures we see today, they're just a snapshot in time, a frozen moment in the city's long, vibrant life.
And that makes you wonder, doesn't it? What stories would those long-gone materials tell if they could speak?
Ooh, now that's a thought. What would we hear?
Imagine the echoes of hammers and chisels ringing through the air, the creaking of wooden scaffolding, the chatter of workers sharing techniques and stories.
It gives me chills just thinking about it.
Okay.
And what about the everyday lives of the people who live there? What can those missing materials tell us about their homes, their clothing, their rituals? We get glimpses of grandeur in the stone, but those perishable materials held the stories of their lives.
Exactly. The wood, the textiles, the organic materials, they form the backdrop to a complex and vibrant society. Their absence leaves a void, a silence that we can only begin to fill with our imagination.
It feels like we're being challenged to look beyond the obvious, to see Angkor Thom not just as a collection of impressive ruins, but as a dynamic, ever-changing tapestry woven from stone wood and the lives of its people.
That's beautifully put, and perhaps to recognize that even in their absence, those perishable materials continue to shape our understanding of this extraordinary city.
It makes you realize that exploring Angkor Thom isn't just about admiring the architecture, it's about piecing together a puzzle, using our imagination to fill in the missing pieces and bring the city back to life.
And that puzzle is never truly complete. There's always more to learn, more to discover, more to imagine.
Which is what makes it so exciting. Okay, so we've got these grand, enduring structures built from laterite and sandstone, but we've also got this whole other layer of wooden architecture woven into the very fabric of the city.
It's not just the materials themselves, though. It's the stories they tell, the lives they touched, and the way they challenge us to look beyond what's immediately visible.
Precisely. And that brings us to a question for you, dear listener. As you delve deeper into the world of Angkor Thom, how will you use your imagination to fill in those gaps and uncover the secrets hidden within those long-gone materials? You know, it's fascinating. The more I learn about these missing materials, the more present they feel, in a way.
You mean even though they're gone?
Exactly. It's like I can almost smell the freshly cut wood, hear the rustle of silk banners in the breeze. It's like they've become these ghost materials, haunting the city with their absence.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And you're right, those absent elements add a whole other layer of intrigue and mystery to Angkor Thom. They invite us to engage our senses, to imagine what it would have been like to experience the city in its full, vibrant glory.
And it also reminds me that our understanding of Angkor Thom, it's constantly evolving. What we think we know today could be completely overturned by some new discovery tomorrow.
That's the beauty of archaeology, isn't it? It's a never-ending quest for knowledge.
Absolutely. Who knows? Maybe one day archaeologists will unearth a perfectly preserved wooden lintel or a fragment of ancient textiles. It could change everything.
It certainly could. And that's why it's so important to stay humble, to always be open to new information.
Because just when you think you have a grasp on things, bam, a new piece of evidence pops up and throws everything into question.
And that's what keeps it so fascinating. Every new discovery is a chance to refine our understanding, to add another layer of detail to that intricate tapestry of Angkor Thom's history.
So to our listener, as you explore the wonders of Angkor Thom, remember that it's not just about those grand stone structures. It's about those missing materials too, those silent whispers of a vibrant past. It's about using your imagination to fill in the gaps and breathe life back into this extraordinary city.
And keep questioning, keep imagining, and most importantly, keep exploring, because Angkor Thom's secrets are waiting to be uncovered.
Maybe you'll be the one to make the next big discovery. That's it for our deep dive into the fascinating world of Angkor Thom's construction materials. Until next time, happy exploring.